So when we talk about grip, most everybody fundamentally understands that you have to hold the gun, and it's preferred that we hold the gun with two hands. Is everybody here right-handed? We got no left-handers? Perfect. Awesome. So I can say left-handed, everybody knows what I mean. So we all know that when we come in with our right hand or our dominant hand, we try to get as high as possible on the backstrap, right? We know that that's the goal. So when we try to build the grip, there's two things that the grip is comprised of, and that's friction and leverage, right? Those are the only two things that we really need to be concerned with in our brains when we're trying to build the grip. I want to put friction and leverage on the gun. Friction locks the gun in place where I want it. Leverage simply manages the fulcrum, right, and keeps the gun from coming back and bonking me in the head. Those are the only two things we're worried about. So when we build the grip, I want to make sure that I come in with my right hand. I grip the gun like I'm supposed to with 3 fingers down here. I'm high on the back strap, but I want to get that thumb up. I want to get that thumb up and out of the way because I want to leave as much room in here as I possibly can for the main player in this game, which is the support side hand. And for years, guys, we ignored this guy over here, but this is the one that does 95% of the work. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to break this down in a second to show you. But I want to come in here and I want to make sure that I eat up all of this space right here as I possibly can and torque into the gun with my support side hand. Did y'all see how I did that? It was kind of like a wave or a smear, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pretend like there's a substance on the meaty part of my hand right here. I like peanut butter because I'm a Reese's guy. So I want to pretend like I'm smearing peanut butter all up the side of this grip right here, right? So I come in and I smear up and in, up and in. Another way to think about it, how many people from the South? Grandparents canned, right? Try to screw the lid on the mason jar. How do we do it? We torque up and in like we're trying to screw the lid on that mason jar, right? So that's how we want to make sure that we build this grip. How do I make sure that I build the grip the same way every time? There's a word. It's a big, long word. It starts with a P. If you're playing with your friends, Scrabble with your friends, you can win every time. Does anybody know what it is? Proprioception. Who knows what it means? Awesome. Do me a favor. Close your eyes. Turn to the left. Take your right hand. Touch your left kneecap. How'd you know where your left kneecap was?
I live in this body every day.
It's attached to your body, right? You instinctively know where it is. That's what proprioception is. Knowing where something is on your body or your person without having to think or look at it, right? Building the grip, and we'll talk about it later on in the draw, but building the grip is the same way. I want to proprioceptively attach my hand to this gun in the same place, in the same manner every single time. How do I do that? Reference points, right? No problem. I got this knuckle right here up underneath the trigger guard. I want to take this knuckle of my support side hand or my left hand and marry it up to that knuckle in the same way, in the same manner every single time. The way I do that is I tell myself that I want to karate chop myself in the throat, and the gun literally just gets in the way. Over-exaggerate that knife hand, guys. That's how you're going to build that wave or that smear every single time. So I chop in and I smear up, and now I've got a really good grip. Chop in, smear up, and when we talk about presentation, we'll roll up and out, and that's how you get your dot to drop in from 12. But when we're talking about grip and grip only, I'm high on the back strap of the gun. This thumb is floated up out of the way. I chop in, I smear up, and where my thumbs land is just where they land. I'm not exaggerating them forward, and I'm not locking them down old school revolver style. Does that make sense? So I've chopped in, smeared up. I've eaten up all of this space in here. Nate likes to use hump in the hole, right? So here I've got this hole that I want to fill up. This is the hump that I want to fill it with. Hump in the hole. See how there's no space in there? There's no gap. So that's where you get the friction from. The dominant hand or the right hand in this game only has two jobs. Run the trigger and keep the gun from coming back and bonking yourself in the head like that girl on the internet with the Desert Eagle, right? That's it. Because where does this gun recoil from? This is a fulcrum. Where does it flip? Where?
Slide.
The slide, right? But so the slide goes where? So where's all the energy dissipate at? Back here, right? So that's why the gun goes like this. So here is where I want to control leverage, right? Friction is here. That's how I lock the grip in. Leverage and friction. That's it. The last part of the grip, if you want to control or change or put the opposite pressure on a fulcrum, where do you put it? The lowest point, right? So if this is the fulcrum and the gun's going like this, how do I stop that? Where do I want to put pressure? The bottom of the fulcrum, right? So the last part of this grip, after I've chopped in, smeared up, and locked it in, I'm out on my presentation, is I want to apply a little bit of pinky pressure. Which pinky you use is going to be up to you. Some people teach use your dominant pinky. Some people teach use your support side pinky. You've got to find what works best for you, your body type, your hand size, your grip, right? I can't make that decision for you. So experiment with it. We watched your guys' grip when you were running the cold start. I can go ahead and tell you, for a lot of you, this is going to feel really weird. And that's okay. Just trust us when we tell you that this is how you build a really solid and stable grip that's going to allow you to run the gun very fast and very efficiently, which is going to make you more accurate, which is the goal, right? So I'm going to show you a couple of different things with the grip and how it works. We call this building trash to treasure.
Eyes and ears, if y'all don't
Eyes
mind.
and ears.
Y'all can stay right there. He's just going to shoot into the dirt.
So I want everybody to watch the gun, right? Watch what the gun does. So I'm going to get like the crappiest grip possible, right? I'm low on the back strap here. There's plenty of space. I'm basically teacupping the gun. And how are we taught to shoot in BLET and for out forever, right? Lock these arms and elbows out, right? Nice, strong, stable platform. Cool. Watch what the gun does. What'd it do? Flipped up crazy, right? Lots of movement in the gun. Do you think that I'm gonna get nice, repeatable, predictable dot behavior out of that? No, that thing's gonna be bouncing all over the place. So what's gonna happen to my follow-up shots? They're also gonna be bouncing up and all over the place. Cool. Watch what happens when all I do with the grip is simply come up higher on the gun, chop in, smear up. Watch what happens. What happened that time? It still flipped a little bit, but it was much, much less noticeable, right? Cool. So now watch what happens when all I do is I relax my shoulders and elbows a little bit. I'll talk about that in a second. So I've chopped in, smeared up. Now I'm relaxing my shoulders and elbows. They're not locked out like we've always been taught. Watch what happens. Even less, right? So on this last one, all I'm going to do is add that little bit of pinky pressure that we talked about a second ago. So I'm high in, space here, chop in, smear up, hump in the hole. Now I'm just going to apply a little bit of pinky pressure and watch what happens to the gun. Barely moved, right? And my dot's just doing this. Bounces up, it comes right back to the center. Let's talk for a second about your presentation. We'll do more presentation later, but with grip comes a little bit of arm movement and presentation, right? Historically, we were all taught to shoot like this, right? Arms locked out fully, tense chest, elbows locked out. Why? Why were we taught that?
And what else were we doing? This thing right
here. The tactical turtle, right?
Yeah.
The 1992 SWAT team called, they want their stance back. So we were taught to shoot like this because we were told that this was that big, stable triangle, right? I'm big, I'm strong, I'm much stronger here. Everything is pressed up and out. I'm flexing my arms and chest muscles. What's the purpose of the elbows? Or excuse me, what's the purpose of locking the elbows out? They're supposed to do what? Supposed to help you do what with the gun? Stabilize it to absorb what? Recoil, right? Lock my elbows out to stabilize recoil. Cool. What's the purpose of your knees when you walk? To absorb shock and recoil, right? Awesome. Do me a favor. I want everybody to go stand on top of the bench back there and jump off of it with your knees locked out. Heck no, right? Why? Because that's not how you absorb shock and recoil. So if that's true for your knees when you walk and run and jump, why is it's still the same body, biomechanics don't change. Guess what, guys? It's not any different. Relax and bend those elbows to absorb that shock and recoil. We're not stronger here. We're stronger here, and let the elbows do their job. The last thing we're going to show you with this, historically we were taught to stand like this, right? Feet shoulder width apart. Nice stable base to shoot from, right? Well, what happens if, that's great if I get nudged like this, but what happens when somebody comes up and bumps me like this? Which way does the gun recoil? The way that I don't have any stabilization, right? So what we teach is all I want you to do is take your dominant side foot. So for everybody here, that's going to be their right foot. Drop it back about 4 to 7 inches. Or a good reference point is if there was a soccer ball rolling up to you and you were getting ready to haul off and kick it. That gives you that nice, stable platform. My elbows are bent, my shoulders and lats are relaxed, and I'm managing recoil with the grip. My hands are doing the work. Speaking of hands doing the work, the support side hand that we have ignored for years. So this left hand over here, it's doing 95% of the work, right? I know that may seem weird or sound weird, but that's the secret sauce, guys, is the support side hand. Dominant side hand is there to do one thing and one thing only, and that's run that trigger as fast as possible.
We're gonna get everybody on the 5-yard line. Don't load and charge yet. Just get in line and we're gonna come by and just tweak your grip.